All right, let's take a look at GOEV. This one gapped up this morning in the pre-market. You can see kind of a strong move from roughly 225, 230 to almost like 450-ish before the open. Looking pretty strong here in the pre-market. Kind of lower volume in early morning. You kind of get bigger spikes, lower volume, and then kind of gets this huge push up to over 4. Kind of hard to decipher this kind of price action this early. I mean, if you're up and kind of trading that pre-market, kind of smaller volume and initial gap up, holds VWAP, you kind of see this push up towards the 315, 310 range. So maybe you're looking for a breakout over there, but kind of hard to predict that all of a sudden you're going to get this mega amount of volume. At the 6 o'clock, that's its time, 7 o'clock ish. Time frame. You see a lot more people coming in, a lot more orders. That's when you get this push up to over 4 and kind of at this main 410 consolidation level. Pretty much holds sideways. Have a couple of testing the breakouts of over 425. Kind of fails. You see lower volume, RSI decreasing over this consolidation. So kind of a breakdown, you might anticipate that. That's what happens here. But then it holds VWAP, comes back up and consolidates more so at this 410 range again. This time, volume, it's kind of hard to decipher. We hit a spike here, and then RSI stays more so consistent. But then you get another breakout as we get closer towards the open. 20 minutes out of the open, big breakout up to that like 450, over that 450 range, and then just really strong on the open, or right before the open. As you can see, this, it was a little bit indecisive, but with such a strong pre-market, you kind of would expect a push right here on the opening drive. However, it's not obviously guaranteed, but you do see this push. You see a little bit of a consolidation, just above that 450 range. I think because you see this almost like indecision, some selling off, but it ultimately holds this 450. So then people kind of see this as a sign of strength, and then breaking that 465 range, you get a breakout, pull back a little bit on volume, and kind of make a new high. RSI is kind of decreasing, and the new high, volume slightly decreasing. So kind of an indication that there might be a retracement. Although it's pretty hard to tell sometimes right on the open. In hindsight, it looks a little bit more clear when you got RSI decreasing a little bit, volume decreasing a little bit. We had this pullback breakout, but doesn't seem to make up too much high. And I think kind of right away with this other candle after the breakup, basically retracing the move, that's kind of it. Then you should really see that as a sign that it's going to have a further retracement, so that you get back down to VWAP. Ultimately, it ends up kind of just fading. Well, you have a little bit of consolidation, but huge breakdown of VWAP, all the way to 4. It kind of breaks that 410 range that I was holding in the pre-market. You see a couple tests here of VWAP, but volume's just decreasing so much, and this has made really such a huge move, and it's not like a low float stock. A reclaiming of 5 is kind of tough to see. As you can see, we kind of consolidate here now, like 425 almost, but volume's decreasing. Almost go for a test of VWAP, but fails, and then break down, and then once we kind of start breaking those other key levels, breaking 420, and we kind of almost just break the 410 immediately, and then breaking 4 just kind of fades off the rest of the day. I mean, closing at like 360 or so. But you look at the daily, it's about I mean, it has some points of inflection there in the daily. I mean, maybe back in May, a little bit of June. Ultimately, I mean, in terms of continuation, I mean, if this thing reclaims 4, maybe you see like a test or a push up to 4.5. It's really got to hold this like 3.6 level. Otherwise, you might see kind of a retracement back to 320. Ultimately, you just kind of have to watch this one. I mean, I think the volume faded off so much. It had so much volume right on the open, but not really much any during the day. So it might not have a huge gap, or rather a huge move one way or the other. Tomorrow might be more back to ATR trades, which usually are like 25 cents or so. So yeah, let's look at BHAT, BHAT. This one made kind of a move today. I'd say more so of a technical breakout. Kind of the daily, you see gap up and then a slight wedge, and then there's this 3-4 level, which is kind of a key level of resistance on days previous, and that's where we see this breakout. So you see this gap up in the morning. Let's see if we can get to on the 1 minute. Gaps up, breaks that resistance level, kind of over that 3-4 and then 3-5 level, but immediately retraces that. Looks really weak on the open. It has this kind of break of view up in this consolidation. I think people getting in, kind of hoping for what ultimately happened later in the day. But as you can see, volume fading, RSI decreasing, retracement likely, or breakdown likely. That's what you get. Kind of light volume consolidation around this like $3 level. But then slow grind, break that, slow grind over VWAP. And then we kind of break this, let's say it's 325 level, and that's when you start to get some more volume. I mean, there's probably some people that got in short there for a further fade. It's a little bit of a squeeze there. That kind of flips the switch, change of character. Get more buyers being more aggressive on this, knowing that there's a possible, bigger move over that 3-4 level, and that's where you kind of get here. We break out of that 3-4, kind of get a test up at 3-6, but then ultimately, fades down, but holds at 3-4, which is key. You kind of get these, now people are more actively trading it, type of moves where we get these breakouts, little consolidation, volume decreasing, RSI decreasing, fades down, but we're holding this 3-4, which is key. It's really then in this point of this build out. I mean, I think we'll call this like 365. You can see it had pretty much almost like a fake breakout there, wedged up. Clearly, lots of people got in big for that, and or just a lot of people in general. But nature of the beast, some price action, and it's kind of flushes down, probably sets off a lot of stop losses. I mean, maybe people risking off the 3.6, maybe tight as we get in. See, it's a huge volume. I mean, it probably goes both ways. You probably have people covering that were shorting in here, as well as people buying, or rather selling, I should say, on the drop down. Pretty volatile, but then you still see a continuation, and then ultimately a bigger breakout. I think the buying pressure is just too big for this to get put down. That's where you see this huge move up to $4, and then ultimately break over 4, and that was pretty much the move. And you see on the backside, just a big flush down on huge volume. I mean, tons of people probably risking off. I mean, getting in, risking off 375. Breaks that. A lot of stop losses. Kicking in. That was really kind of the big move. So I mean, ultimately, when you look at this, you look at the daily setup for a possible breakout over 340. That's what happens, and then there's just a more trading once you kind of break over that, and then you see there is this like secondary breakout over 375. So kind of like two main breakouts, I would say. So on this this particular day, ultimately after breaks down, or after it flushes, it just breaks down. I mean, you have a bit of consolidation here at this like 3.6 level, but the volume just drops off so much. And at the end of the day, volume dropping off, you don't see a bigger move. There really wasn't like a huge point of consolidation up there or up near $4 for people to get in short. So what really is the next squeeze? I mean, is there really one? I mean, yeah, sure, there's going to be probably some people that get aggressive, probably front side short this, but it doesn't happen. Or it's not a bigger consolidation up here, so you don't accumulate as many short positions if there's shares even available. And through this consolidation, like I just said, volume is decreasing, so things aren't moving. Volume's decreasing. You're kind of looking back at the chart of what happened earlier today. Probably going to be another retracement. I mean, maybe there's some people accumulating short positions, and that's even more so what this volume is, not necessarily buyers. Once the buyers kind of step out, I mean, then you get this break of 35. It's kind of game over. I mean, in terms of tomorrow, it's definitely going to hold $3 to be anything interesting for an upside move. I mean, maybe looking at this 5-minute, there's like that almost like 370 level. That might be an interesting possible squeeze level. It's just ultimately it's going to have to pre-market or early morning kind of break this 3.4 level again for a possible 3.7 squeeze. Otherwise, even if it can't hold 3, you might see a kind of a fade or consolidation. I mean, it has been trading more so tighter ranges the past week or so, and probably around, I don't know, that $2.70 to almost $3 range. So in terms of fade, I don't think you're going to get too much of a fade. I mean, I think the biggest thing would be it's got pretty good support at $2.50. So you're not going to get a huge fade, I don't think. However, if it breaks through 5 and I'm wrong, then you might see a bigger slip to $2. I think ultimately, though, it's probably going to trade around this $3. ATR maybe 25 cents or so, up to 315 to, down to 285 or something like that. Unless we get a break over 3.4 and get close up to 3.7, the breakout of 3.7 might lead to more aggressive buyers. But I think ultimately, I don't know how big of a continuation play this would be. But definitely, regardless, one to watch. Again, yeah, for tomorrow, but also, or rather, I should say, not just for tomorrow, but also kind of in the weeks to come for a possible breakout again.